My whole sermon, my whole like testimony in this life is taking all the pain that's happened to me and figure out a way how to see, like the brighter side of it. So that's a big part of my testimony in this life. And the other part is like my greatest service is I'm a deep listener and I can tell you what your best future could be. Like I can just take a nugget and I'll be like, oh, can I tell you what you should be doing, what you can do? And then it's up to you if you want to do it or not. But I'm 99% always correct about these things.
Ooh.
I can look at a seed and tell you what's in there.
That's deep. And that is a really great gift to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of the problem with that gift is not the problem, but what I've learned is you need to wait to be asked. So I have to wait and be passive and wait for someone to say to me, hey, do you see anything here? And if, I always say, not every witch is for you, but some witch, if you find your right medicine woman, your right healer, she can go right in and be like, oh, here's your heart, baby. Go do the work. Okay.
Right.
And, yeah, that's a part. That's who I am. Yeah.
I love that. How did you find that gift? How did you know you had it?
Well, I don't, it's like, so since I was like a kid, people would always come up to me and tell me their like deepest troubles, like their heavy heartedness. Right. And then as I got older, then I could tell you things about people in the room without them telling me. I remember I was at a dinner party one night and this lady was telling me about this man who she just loves. And all of a sudden I said, but isn't he married? And she looked at me like, and I was like, because I could feel the spirit of like, there was another, and he got, and so like weird things like that would happen. And then I started to be like, and then for like a year, I just tested this out. I was like, just show me a picture. So my sister, she dates a lot of guys. I said, just show me a picture and let me see if I can tell you what's there. And I would tell my sister things and she's like, how do you know these things?
Right.
I don't know. That's my gift here.
Well, so see, people can be intuitive and you know it.
Yeah, so that's why acting sort of worked out great. If I wasn't an actor, I always say I was going to be a pastor, a nun, a politician, or an actor. Because I deeply want to help people and serve people, but really serve people towards their joy.
I love that. And I was going to ask you about your intuition and how that comes into play as an actress, because you've been in this game over a decade. I don't want to age anybody in acting.
I'm proud of my journey. Okay. I've been out here for 16, almost 17 years.
I was going to say almost 2 decades, but I didn't want you to.
Yeah, look.
You know how they treat us when we go over a certain age, but you clearly, the looks don't show the almost 2 decades of work and thick-skinnedness and all the things that you have to have in this industry. So as you being this intuitive person who is very attached to serving, how does that work as an actress and how has that served you in your journey?
Yeah, when I get cast in something, before the person says action, I stand in the wings and I think to myself, who am I standing in the possibility for? Mm-hmm. So people can see themselves or their journey in me. And it takes a lot of the burden off of me of feeling like, oh, I got to be a great actor right now. Instead, it's like, oh, I'm the possibility of inspiring women to know that you can take up space, or inspiring women to know you can be this vulnerable, whatever it is. It feels like it's like my intention.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of it. And then when I read the script, I can feel the energy of like what the intention in general was for a script. Mm-hmm. And if I can feel like it comes from a good place, then I think, oh, so I can be of service to tell this new type of story in the world. And almost every single project I've been a part of, I could tell you like, this is what I felt in that moment. Even from my first role with like, Inside Man with Denzel Washington, like regardless of what the script was about, I had this feeling of like, first of all, that was like a dream come true, but I was like, oh, I want to be here for the intention. So women who are my complexion know like, you are desirable too. Like we are part of the canon of sexy women too. You know what I'm saying? This is how I look at it. You know, we're a service. When you're on a platform like that, it is a service.
I love that. I love that you're connected to something deeper with everything that you're choosing. And sometimes that makes the journey a little bit longer. We have seen you in this game, and now we get to see you coming out. I mean, you've been out of the wings in certain things, of course, but to be a strong lead in something like Bel-Air is a beautiful thing to see you as this new Aunt Viv. I saw in an interview you talked about not necessarily being told to like fill these shoes or needing to like do Aunt Viv in any kind of way. But I'm curious as to what about her, whether it's our girl Janet, whether it's our girl Daphne, what about her makes you feel like, I got this, I can do this?
I mean, I did not feel like that at first.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even
I would have casted you, to be honest. I would have casted you in this.
Listen, so my friends who are all close to me, as my ear's like, tell the truth, Cassie. My friends, so many of my friends, I remember calling up my friends being like, people want me to audition for this thing. And my friends be like, but you are Aunt Viv. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I am not Aunt Viv. Calm down. So many people in my life have told me that. So I appreciate that. But, you know, even though I go into the whole thing of like who I am, I always have this idea of like the perception people have of me and the perception I have of myself will never be the same. But if people see me at all in the milieu of Aunt Viv, then amen, I receive it and I accept it. But yeah, I mean, Daphne Maxwell and Janet Hubert, they're so tattooed on our consciousness, right? So to think that anybody would step into their shoes just seems like the wrong thing to do. So when I went out for this role, I just thought, I'm not going to even try to do them. I'm just going to do I'm going to do my version of who Aunt Cassandra is with some flares here and there. Like, who's the grounded version of that aunt? Because she is the queen of aunties, Viv. Yes, so what's the best of that? He was just so wonderful to be like, Cassie, we just want you to make new shoes for Aunt Viv. Like, don't even think about what they did. This is a whole new vision, and let that guide you. And when he said that, he was like, yeah, so be vivacious. She can be vivacious. Yeah. Be funny. She can be funny. You sexy, be sexy. And I was like,
got that, honey.
Wait till the episode tomorrow. You're gonna be like, Cassie, you did not tell me.
Listen, I see it. I see her slinking through that house. And I really live for it. I think, you know, we tend to compare because it's hard not to, because this is based on something that we know and we loved and we grew up around. But now it's a completely different thing. Mm-hmm. And I can't help but notice, like, even as the stuff comes in on social media, there's complaints about certain characters. There's, I'm not going to complain about Uncle Phil. He is fine as I don't know what.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm upset.
I'm fine with it.
Uncle Phil is fine. We can keep Uncle Phil, everybody.
We can keep him in here. He is fine. And rest in peace to the original. He was also fine. Yes, but they were kind of fine. But also, like, I was like, okay, if I talk to Cassandra today, I have to ask her, how does it feel seeing, especially Carlton has been chosen to be someone completely different from Alfonso. He's not funny. He is on drugs. It's dramatic. I get it. But people are coming after his physical appearance. What is going on here? It's giving me colorism. I can't lie. Like, seeing the critiques around he's ugly. I was like, this is terrible. It's really upsetting to me.
There are sad robots on Twitter. When I see negative stuff, I'm like, robot, delete.
Like, are you serious? His looks?
First of all, it's so funny when I watch that. It's haterism. I don't even know if it's colorism, but it's definitely some hateration mixed in with people's expectations being dashed on who they thought Carlton is. I mean, in my opinion, Carlton is exactly who Ali is playing in that character. It's just a hard pill to swallow because we've always made fun of that type of Black dude. But if that Black dude was not in a comedy, who is that guy? And
Right.
it's this dude. And as the series goes on, you'll see more of a spectrum of who Carlton is, and people will fall in love with that character. And then on the side of that, Ali, to meet Ali is to meet a king. He is a king, okay? Yeah. This kid, listen, anybody who knows him, you better know him now, because I feel bad for you for those who do not know him and love him now, because where he is going, he's also another one who's just made for another time, and I'm just lucky to be in his orbit, because he's got king vibes all over him, and he knew hate was going to come for him, and the way he's dealing with it is so joyful.
I love it.
You know, that's all you can do. I mean, and that could have been any one of us. You know, people could have been upset with me for all sorts of unknown reasons that I don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? People will find something to be upset about, but first they hate you, then they love you, and then they'll claim you as if they never hated you. So that's the voyage he is on.
You like, this is what we deal with, and you know you're going to deal with the critics being a little bit heavier handed because of this cult classic that Fresh Prince was. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, it's Sterling Brown, who's a friend of mine, who did the O.J. Simpson movie, and he had to play Oprah, Christopher Darden. A lot of men did not want to play Christopher Darden. Why? It's that same type of character of a Black man who looks like he does not love his community, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of Black male actors did not even audition, and then some of them even turned it down. And so Sterling went in with, like, you know, his scope on thinking, like, what do I need to be focused on? And he brought such humanity and depth to someone who our community ridiculed. And it's amazing that man didn't kill himself as badly as we were to him. And guess what? The same is true. If Carlton wasn't making jokes and doing this, who is he? Just think about all the microaggressions that little Black boy probably had to have. And at some point, he decided to assimilate those things that people said. Instead of pushing it back, he was like, you know what? You're right. I am better looking than regular Black guys. Actually, you know what? You're right. I'm not really Black. I'm white. You're right. I mean, if those are your daily microaggressions, you either self-kill or you self-medicate. And he did both. He medicated himself with a real drug, and he's medicated himself with this persona. And we'll see what happens. Like, you know, all things have to fall away before the truth comes, honey. And things will happen. But I think it's a lie. And it's interesting talking to reporters who aren't of color. They're so confused about Carlton. Like, they're even more confused. They're like, but he has such good parents. And I'm like, yeah, but his parents didn't.
Those are the people that do the drugs. It's usually people with great supportive people behind them, great parents, great family, good money.
Even in my family, like, there's a part of my family that's very, you know, affluent. You know, everyone's got affluent people in the family and then less affluent people. And, you know, one of the kids in one part of my family, he fell way off the tracks, and he tried to deny who his family was. And so Carlton had two ways. Either he ends up just like his dad. He tries to do this version of, like, maybe I'm like a white Black guy. I don't even know that there are rules. Like, what is Blackness? Or he does this other where he pretends like he's a straight up gangster. Right? Like, these are the person. It's hard to be a Black man in this culture. It's hard to be a woman, but it's hard to be a man and a Black man too. Like, how do you express love and warmth? And when the culture shows you so many disturbing ideas, and then if you're around white people and then they tell you different, that's why I think Black people are incredible people. Immigrants are amazing, because you have to be so focused and grounded at the same time, because the culture will try to throw you off. You know how much of my life people told me I ain't pretty, or I'm pretty just because, even though I'm this color, like all sorts of craziness. And you're like, that sounds like your sickness. I'm not going to.
I know that's right. I'm not taking none of that on. No, thank you. Well, because this is a new situation, a new Aunt Viv, what do you feel like this character, as she is written, as you are playing her, as you are growing into her, what do you think she is teaching you about yourself?
That there's still places to grow within. You know, she starts off as like a perfect paper doll figure of like a Michelle Obama replica.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be just perfect, okay? So throughout the series, she starts to shed some of that, and she starts to look and be like, who am I really? Who am I? And I think the older I get, the more I keep coming back in to be like, so is this me or is that them? Okay. That's right. I think it's a constant shedding and grounding. So that's one part of it. And then the more joyful part of Viv is she's really awakened me to, like, I'm an artist too. I've always wanted to be an artist. My aunt and uncle are huge art collectors, maybe some of the biggest ones in America, called the Kinsey Collection. And I've always looked at, visual arts as like the thing I could never do. And now in my spare time, it is the thing that I do. Like, I actually do paint now. And it doesn't have to be something that has to be marketable or approved by other people. It can just come because it gives me joy. And that's the thing that Viv gets into finally. She's like, I can just do it because it brings me joy.
Loving what you were talking about when it comes to Aunt Viv's character having these passions and getting into herself as a painter and an artist, and we're getting to see her do that. But we also saw that as with most mothers, she put her interest, her career on pause so that she can focus on family. How do you feel about that, especially as a Black woman? Is that something that we need to adopt, and how do we make peace with it if that's something that we need to like put ourselves on pause to attend to our people?
Yeah, I think that's I'm a mom. I have a 3-year-old. I think it's so personal for every person. Every situation is so specific. I think Viv's through line is different, is that, yeah, she did it. She stopped it for, to help her husband's career and maybe raise her kids. But also, as the season goes on, you really realize she self-selected because she wasn't as committed to her dream as she'd like to believe. Mm-hmm. Meaning, 15 years ago in the African-American art scene, it's very different than today. It's like so hot and popping. Everybody want to get a piece. You see all these celebrities showing off their African-American art pieces. Like, it's in vogue, but 15 years ago, it wasn't necessarily like that. So she just woke up one day to, maybe this isn't a real dream to hold on to. And it was an easier thing for her to do with such a rich husband. Outside of that storyline, and that storyline will be revealed more as we go. Outside of that, nothing is more precious than being a mother, and nothing is more precious than saying bye-bye to those babies and go have a life. You know what I'm saying? So it really becomes about like, which one pulls you more? I mean, I have a 3-year-old. It's really hard to be away from my son. I live in Brooklyn, but I'm shooting in LA. So he comes back and forth and spends time with me. My husband spends, and believe me, I have nights where I'm just like, I just want to be a mom. I just want to be, there's nothing more beautiful than being a mom. But then there's this whole other part of my brain that's like, oh, but there are other things for me to do. So yeah. I don't have a prescription about this. I just know whichever one you pick, you pick it because you want it, not because society tells you. And I think we really don't even know the full ability of a Black woman, because in this culture, you're so limited. Being a Black woman, you're like in the cage of femininity. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a woman, a daughter, a mother? Then you got white supremacy and capitalism and all these, you got so many cages and the white gaze that, like, what is the full blooming nature of a Black woman? We're still in motion of that. Like, who we are right now, our ancestors would be so proud, but who we will be 100 years from now, we'll look back at us and think how oppressed we are. Before this role came, I had a conversation with my manager and I said, guys, I hate to be this person, but I don't want to audition for any more sad Black women. I said, I want to just be someone beautiful, who might be rich even, and her only issue in life is like some inner conflict. And so I just started to pass on all. There were things that came in my mailbox that I'm sure might be nominated for an Oscar. I'm sure another slave movie is some other, this thing, that thing, like all these things. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just not in that vibration right now. I was like, can't I just be like fabulous and deal with like some other issues just about being a human being? Like, I'm tired of crying over my dead Black son in the street. That's important too, and I've done that. And so
yeah, you have.
And so I think I wanted that, and then this just came about, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Even though I didn't want to audition for it, it's like exactly the energy. And I'm on to you. I'm like, can we just live in that for a while? I love this Instagram account. I see it every now and then, the nap ministry. And I totally believe in the idea of it's a revolutionary act for a Black woman just to take a nap and not feel guilty.
Rest.
Can we get rid of this like hustle mentality? Rest.
Because sometimes I be like, well, our ancestors probably had dreams of resting as well.
You know, you can't even have a dream without rest. You know, some of the greatest inventors talk about, oh, it happened in my downtime. Morgan Cooper came up with this whole concept for Bel-Air when he was just driving and he went under an underpass. And through that, he says like a cosmic astrological event happening in his head where he saw the whole show come to life. It's like, it's in the moments of rest where great ideas come in. And I was taught that in high school and over again in my life, that you have to have deep relaxation to actually create great art. And so the truth, that's true if you own a business. So in my life, even when I'm doing this show, we have long hours, I always ask to go to my trailer just so I can lie down. Even if I don't sleep, I lie down in Alexander technique.
Girl, lay down.
Meditate.
Yes.
Getting into the horizontal actually resets your whole nervous system. Just laying horizontal, people.
And Queen Afua said, we need to put our legs up and elevate our legs more than once a day. It is necessary for circulation. And that requires you to, guess what? Lay down.
This is right. That's Alexander technique and Queen Afua. That's another spirit from another world.
And people, I be trying to tell people, she know what she's talking about.
But yeah, she's the mother that we've been looking for out here. And what does she do? And she believes in deep, I practice transcendental meditation, and she does deep meditation. And especially around that between 4 and 6 o'clock, if you can meditate during that, all sorts of information comes in through the cosmos. That's how she wrote her whole book. Anyway, keep going.
You know some things about some things. We are winding down. I wanted to get into, because you bring up Morgan Cooper, and I think that Morgan's ingenuity is such an important piece of how this came together. I don't know how many people knew that they put this on YouTube as a thing that they created for just for us to consume and consider, and now it is a thing. Can you talk about, because of your own, life and the way that you feel connected and intuitive, where is something where you felt like, if I just did the thing, stuff is gonna come?
I mean, what comes to me right now is just the way I've been able to stay in this industry so long is, after doing something for so long, sometimes I do this little trick where I say, I'm just gonna press reset. And tomorrow I'm gonna pretend like it's my first day ever being an actress again. And all of a sudden it becomes like, someone asked me to do an audition. Are you kidding me? I get to go. And then when I get to go do the thing, and then when I get to go do the thing, I think to myself, I am gonna do my version of this role at such a high degree that if they don't give it to me, they will feel remorse. Okay. Like this, I started to just make new fun targets of success for myself.
I just really love that, because I hear you and I'm hearing that I get to, and that's such an important distinction that I even try to tell people in my life, like, because we get to a point where I have to do this thing. And you've been this incredible actress for these years. And it's like, oh, I have to do another audition. No, I get to.
What's another thing is something that I thought I'd never be able to do was, I was like going through a low part of my life. And I just did this film, Kinyarwanda, which is a movie that was filmed in Rwanda, Africa. And I had this calling me, like, I should start a nonprofit where I go back and I do this, that, and the third. And then I was like, who am I to start a nonprofit? Who do I even know? And then there I am in Rwanda, Africa. And the Peace Corps, was the first year back in Rwanda since the genocide. And they begged me to come out and do this thing. And I do this, they asked me to come to talk about myself, but in the moment of being there with all these kids who are orphans of the genocide, I was like, why would these kids want to know who I am? So instead I said, let's play some acting games. And these kids who are so like this, by the end of it, were so open. And I was like, I'm starting a nonprofit. And so I came back there for like 3 years, and I like, raised money, and I would do these camps. And then my third year there, I was like, I can't sustain this. And I met this girl named Angel, and she was like, well, I want to continue what you're doing. Honey, skip to 2 years later, she becomes one of my students at Fordham University. And it's like one of those things where, and she kept going back home, kept sharing all the things. And I was teaching a class at Fordham called Collaboration, which is this beautiful creative class. And I thought, look, that was just something that was in my spirit. So I love what Morgan Cooper did. And I love that story that I shared, because you think you're doing it for yourself. It's actually something out here that is begging you to come forward to do something, right?
Yeah.
But it can feel selfish or impossible or even narcissistic, like all these things. Like for Morgan Cooper to come up with this, you could be like, well, who is he? He's in Kansas City, he's 27. Who are you to, can you imagine if he told the wrong people, they'd be like, who are you? No, you think
exactly.
Right. And the same thing about this, like, who am I? You think you're gonna make real change in the world? Yeah.
Yeah.
Those sparks of energy wants to be created.
What a dream that you are of a human. I really enjoyed getting to chat with you and just to learn more about you and who you are. I am so enamored, and I think that your version of Aunt Viv is going to be one of them ones. And I can't wait to see how you continue to shine and grow. I'm so grateful to chat.
Listen, I'm so grateful too, Danielle. Such beautiful energy. Thank you for the sisterly love. This was so needed.
Oh, I know, you got me like I'm about to go into the rest of my day with some pep in my step. So I'm thankful for that.
That is what we are here to do for each other, Danielle. Okay.
You feel me? You feel me?
I do. I so appreciate you. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.